Well, I'm bored. I'm drunk. No, I'm banging my sister.
Sister's right here. So.
She's here, passed out. She ain't say no.
Nope.
Okay.
All right, well, let me mark this for the intro to WNG.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire Official Podcast. You're listening to episode number 80. On this show, we like to talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, political discourse, sometimes, but always Star Trek. I am your host, Tactic Angel. With me is Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
Hello.
Hello, Midget Radio. How are you today?
I am well, Tactic Angel. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
That's great.
I'm in a mood.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because spoiler alert, today Notre Dame burned down, and that
yeah.
That was really a bummer.
Yeah. They got that fire put out, right? It was just like one of the tower. I don't remember.
The spire.
Yeah.
And the roof. And I guess we'll see what's left tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's bad because I hate France as much as the next person.
Sure.
Maybe even a little bit more. But that's like 900 years worth of history.
Yeah.
And to think, like, it probably took like 180 years to make.
Yeah.
And the number of people who worked on it and put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then you had this monument that France on and off again appreciated, and right now is a great source of financial revenue for them. And then, like, in a way, your life has a meaning because of the remembrance of this object, this huge, beautiful aspiration made solid, and then it burns up.
Yeah.
And it just sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a human tragedy. It's a sadness.
Well, great. What a way to start the fucking show.
And it's gonna get worse because we're talking about politics.
Yeah.
But first, we have to get to the real order of the day. We're drinking stuff. What do you got?
I got the Shiner again.
Shiner.
Yeah.
I'm also on beer.
Nice.
I am drinking the Krombacher.
That sounds good.
It's a Pils.
Sounds German.
It is a product of Germany.
Okay.
And it's pretty good.
Nice.
I like it.
Very nice. Very nice.
I wanted to switch it up because I love the Bitburger, but I was like, you know what, Krombacher, I also like that.
Yeah.
Both pills. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I ate Burger King today. That shit is really good, but it never sits well.
Uh-oh.
I feel like the beer helps. I don't know.
Oh, well, good. I was afraid you were going to tell me something else and some stuff that I didn't want to know, or no one else wants to know.
No.
So now
Burger King's, it's fine. It's not gonna.
Now that we've given people enough time to click off of this, we're going to talk about third-party candidates today, and specifically Howard Schultz.
Okay.
We're going to start with the concept and move into the specifics.
Okay.
Because I am a professional, and this is a well-ordered show.
We'll see.
So as a primer, both you and I watched the Fox News town hall with Howard Schultz. And while the hosts, Brett Baer and Martha McCallum, did ask some follow-up questions, and actually one or two of the questions were surprisingly direct from the audience.
Yeah.
I thought I would say this is mostly a surface level look into the candidate. Would you say that's fair?
Oh, hell yeah.
Not straight up softballs, but definitely not super challenging.
No. No.
Okay. So anyway, the show itself goes a little more in depth into this, but both you and I are old enough to remember Ross Perot and Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
And the presumption that these guys helped to throw the election in favor of Clinton and then in favor of Bush,
Right.
respectively. I thought it was sort of interesting because they had a couple questions. And do you think that it's fair to say in this election cycle in particular that a third party candidate would definitely help Trump? Right?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard. I think it's extraordinarily hard to predict this time around because the math is all fucked up. So
yeah, the math is fucked up. I did like one thing that he said there in the middle of it, and this is kind of just conceptually. Did you recognize when he said essentially like our modern elections, because everybody's so bought into the two-party system?
yeah,
And kind of a lot of people are wrapped up in like their physical happiness is somehow connected to the Republicans or the Democrats. And
yeah.
I mean, that seems insane, but you have enough of those people and they're in one place or another and it's built into their identity that there are only about 6 states that matter.
Yeah.
And he was saying, hey, we've done the research. Third party candidate could potentially be competitive in 40 states.
Yeah.
Do you remember hearing that?
I definitely remember hearing that.
Do you think it's
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know because that's all we got was that they did the research and that's cool, man. I mean, maybe they're fucking right. I have no idea.
They got Sam Harris to do the research, and
well,
trust me, I'm a neurologist.
Yeah.
I'm a neuroneurologist.
Yeah. I don't know.
So-
I mean, I would like for that to be true. Fuck. I hope he's right about that. That'd be really interesting.
What are the chances that either of us live in one of those 40 states?
I mean, I don't know about you, but
I'm pretty sure I don't.
but we're, Arizona.
A little bit more competitive.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
We're getting a little purple there, so
Okay, so let me put it this way. A lot of this is predicated on the idea that we have the red team, blue team mentality.
Yeah.
Do you think that in like this day and age that a third party candidate is maybe desirable for this predicament?
I think I think it's reasonable enough to assert that like at this point this is probably one of the best times for a third party candidate to run. Particularly given how absurdly polarized politics have become. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but like, and it's always easy to say this shit from the sort of like limited perspective that I think we have, having been on the earth for as much time as we have. But I mean, even our parents' generation, I think like it's fairly well accepted that like now is about as polarized as it's ever been. I mean, you may have seen, like, I've heard, people who came up in the 70s and stuff say that, the Nixon years and the 70s, like they're reminded a lot of the sort of animosity of those times as well. But I think given those circumstances, that, yeah, you would hope that there's some two-party fatigue that's been engendered because of how polarized things are, and that a third party would actually be pretty viable at this point. I don't fucking know though.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think about it because when I hear it, I understand that Trump is certainly seen as a far right character. I'm not sure if that's a real fair characterization, but he does take an unreasonable amount of glee in patronizing the people on the left.
Yeah.
And in almost all cases, that's pretty unpresidential.
Yeah.
And that seems to have kind of, like, one of the things that you said after Trump was elected is you just hope that the Democrats pick the most likable person possible.
Yeah.
And while I'm not going to say it's impossible that happens, several of the dozens of candidates that they have right now have already kind of strayed into like, what? No.
Sure.
No, that's crazy territory.
Yeah.
And so, like, when he was talking about, like, if you want to elect a socialist, like, that's probably going to guarantee that Trump wins. Because
I mean, I think that's a solid enough point.
And God forbid any of these other weird fucking issues come up. I want reparations. Oh God.
I mean, again though, dude, I don't. It's because the math is so fucked up. I really don't know, because there's still a part of me that believes that if it was Bernie, who is fucking king socialist, according particularly to the right, but I mean, if it was Bernie versus Trump, I feel like Bernie would have had a shot. I feel like Bernie may have actually taken it. Because they've captured that, like, because it's not I don't think it's the socialism so much as it's hey, the economy's fucked up and it's super disproportionate. And, I mean, that's kind of who Trump appealed to.
But Bernie 2016 is a different person than Bernie 2020.
I don't know.
Well, okay. So like back in 2016, you didn't hear Bernie, well, I mean, he was a little bit, but like Medicare for all, sort of nonsense. And like, there's a certain number of people who are on board for that.
Yeah.
But definitely in the 4 years since, or really in the 2 years since he lost, or 3 years, I don't know, 3 years and change, 2 years and change. Never mind the math. This is a drinking show. I think like you have more of these like bomb throwers who are out there on the left who are like, yeah, everything's free.
Yeah.
UBI, we want free healthcare. Everybody goes to college forever for free.
Dude, that was 2016.
UBI wasn't. That's a very niche issue, and I don't think that it's going to go anywhere.
I haven't heard Bernie talking about that. I just keep hearing Yang talk about it. Is that his name? Yang? Yeah. I know there's a tendency to want to lump them all together, but I mean, I don't know, dude. I just it's hard to say. Nobody would have fucking ever predicted that Trump won in the first place. So it's just like it's so hard. It's so hard to talk about it now because
you know who did?
Who's that?
Ann Coulter.
Well, even a stopped clock, right? I mean,
yeah, that might have been. I remember that when she was on with Bill Maher, and they were like, "Who do you think's gonna win?" She's like, "Donald Trump," and everybody laughed at her because he was at like 13% nationally, and I don't know, it's a long shot, but. Yeah, I guess that's who you got.
Wish I could have put money on that one.
I think there's also a person I played Call of Duty with who predicted it.
Okay.
But I'm fairly certain he's insane.
Well, we may want to ask him about 2020.
So from the sounds of it, you are thinking, same as me, kind of, like, if there was a perfect time to have an adult in the room,
sure,
it would be now.
Yeah.
Like, and I kind of, now I'm going to say this and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think our current political landscape is kind of what happens to a people who don't have enough enemies. Like actual threats. We have lots of time to think about things that aren't all that important. And we want to always be like taking that next step. And at a certain point, it's like not real obvious where you're supposed to go. I'm fairly certain there's supposed to be, progress past this point, but bathrooms.
Yeah.
And so like we've blown a lot of things out of proportion that that don't need to be. And I think a lot of that has to do with like lasting political power, because behind both, like you have good Democrats and bad Democrats, you have good Republicans and bad Republicans.
Sure.
And there are people behind the scenes who fall into kind of the bad territory, who are more interested in perpetuating their own power and their own, I guess, physical well-being, wealth, influence, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they just like to play the game, but that game is everybody else's life.
Yeah.
And so
it's a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I guess. So, I mean, it's people playing fast and loose with the rules. You can see with like the breakdown of decorum, the nuclear option in the Senate, and like now we have talks about we need a popular vote for the entire United States, and so every time, or we need to pack the court. Like that's one of the things Beto wants to do.
Yeah.
And so you end up with these people who are just trying to perpetuate their own power.
Yeah.
And I should say, I don't think Beto's that guy. I think he's, a freaking weirdo who smoked a lot of pot, and now he thinks he deserves to be president because his dad could get him out of a DUI and sexual harassment stuff.
Yeah. He played with that at the drive-in. Let's not forget that.
Well, I mean, if that's not a qualification to be leader of the free world,
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
It's as good as any that gets you in the office these days.
So you have these people and they're hungry for power. You have the people who are in there also who are just trying to do their jobs. And I don't know, social media being new as it is, we as humans do not have the capacity to really notice how expertly we're being manipulated. So it just becomes like this weird arms race to who gets to be the first emperor of the United States.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we want. It feels like that's what we fucking want. It's just that emperor has to like believe and say in the right things that I personally believe and say, like, but it does. That's what it feels like to me. People are, I mean, I don't think, at least when you read shit on social media and most, I would say online,
comment sections,
news journalism. No, I would include like Vox and those kind of sites in this. That it just seems like, what people want is not a president, but a messiah of sorts. Somebody who does and says all of the right fucking things, and has all of the right fucking values and dictates to us the right way to live and act and all of that.
Well, that's the interesting thing, because you had hoped also that the election of Trump would teach people that the president is not the god of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that going?
I don't think it's going very well, Tactic. I think his supporters treat him like that, and I think his enemies treat him the exact same way.
Yeah, but they also want to elect their own god.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. No, absolutely they do. Yeah.
So a third party offers the possibility of entering an adult into the room.
Yeah, I would phrase it like from my own perspective. And the thing I find interesting about it is that it's the best chance to divorce policy from ideology, because it will make it harder for this person to say something and be like, that's a fucking libtard idea, or that's a fucking neocon piece of shit racist idea. I mean, because you don't know which side he's on. Well, it should make it a little harder.
Do you think that it's more likely that people will learn to have nuanced opinions, or do you think it's more likely that everyone will hate the third party president?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a good chance for either, but again, like I don't, in the same instance, I don't think that like the social media landscape the online news journalism landscape is in fact all that reflective of most Americans, like where they are day to day.
I agree with that.
So I get
the sense talking to people that like these controversial things. It's like, yeah, if I sit down with normal people, they pretty well all line up on. Yeah, this is not a controversy. The answers to these things are fairly obvious.
Yeah, I think it's for the most part because they're all Americans and they all live here in America. So yeah, so I don't know. I would hope that maybe a third party is an opportunity for the so-called silent majority to actually have a voice.
So under well, I don't know where to go with this. We can start talking about Howard Schultz as a person. Okay. And then we can kind of work back to kind of what was in my mind, if I can remember that later after my second or so beer. Anyway. Howard Schultz. Yeah. Did you find him likable?
God damn it. I don't fucking know. I found him, pretty vanilla, which is not a bad thing at all.
Almost fairly refreshing.
Yeah, fairly boring. Which, it's a plus.
I thought he was reasonably engaging with the audience, though.
Yeah, in a I think in a very practiced way. Yeah. A lot of this felt very practiced. I think he's had these conversations a couple of times. I think he's answered these questions more than once for the most part. There were some that seemed like he was not very well prepared for.
I was actually really surprised. You can tell me if you think this is the most surprising question. Okay. Lady stands up. What is your opinion on abortion? Yeah. And you're like, well, that's a question. Yeah. And it is so straightforward that it is impossible to dodge. Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's one of the reasons why I didn't think that they were completely playing softball.
No, they weren't. No. Yeah.
That is not a softball question.
No, it's not.
If you wanted to lob one in there, you'd be like, there's been a lot of conversation about blah, dee, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Say things for a minute and a half, whatever you want. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I thought he came across pretty well. Yeah. Actually, in that exchange.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. I think he was fairly well composed, and I think he answered these questions pretty well. I think it's like we've essentially already said. I mean, it's so fucking light on policy, and I think for the most part he's essentially saying the right things. He's doing what any opposition candidate would do, which is just identifying all the fucking problems. And he's, doing a pretty decent job of that. And I think his critique of the two-party system, it was pretty on point.
So I actually thought he did a couple of things that were fairly brave, right? Okay. I mean, in the terms of a political thing, I do like characters who go out there and say things that are unpopular. Yeah. Because you're more likely to believe that they're true if they're not what you want to hear or what everybody expects the politician to say. Yeah. So, like, I mean, his answer to abortion, I don't particularly like it. I don't think it's the end of the world. But I don't think that in the ultimate reckoning that it is the most moral position that you can have. Okay. But then, like, they ask him later, are there things that Trump has done right? Yeah. And so, like, if you were to say, Tactic Angel, you're this far right asshole, you're like, okay, let's suppose that that's true. I should be really offended by his position on abortion. And then he also had the gall to say that President Trump isn't actually Hitler. Yeah. So, like, I liked that he had just the strength of character to say, hey, you know, I'm here in the middle. I'm probably going to piss some people off on either side. And he wasn't even saying that. He was just like unapologetic. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You know, I'm not there in all the places, but I appreciate this guy's character in terms of his forthright answers.
Yeah.
Even if they are a little vague at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're extraordinarily vague at this point, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know really what to say about him overall. I mean, sure, those answers are fairly direct, and I do like I for the most part, like I enjoyed what I heard. I didn't really have a problem, I guess, with most of the points that he was trying to make. I actually thought the closest he got to actual policy was, fascinatingly enough, on healthcare. And that was basically just the universal catastrophe coverage, I think.
Catastrophic
coverage, yeah, at a universal level, which is kind of an interesting idea.
Honestly, I have suggested this to people,
yeah,
as one of the possibilities, because, okay, from an actuarial point of view, it is hard. No, I mean,
Tag Angel bringing the insurance into.
No, okay, if you try to balance an equation, and it has on one side infinity,
yeah,
the other side starts to get pretty tough to balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the reasons why major medical insurance costs so much is because the upper end of this is just absurd.
Yeah.
But you do not want the same people who cannot reliably deliver mail to you or who run the DMV to be in charge of your life.
Oh, God.
Overall.
Okay.
No, the private sector is simply going to do a better job on the day-to-day transactional stuff.
I don't know I don't want to get into this, but I don't know who on Medicare is angry about their Medicare coverage. It's like, this is just like going to the fucking post office. And I don't know how many people have that much goddamn difficulty with the post office. But anyway,
I went to the post office. I had to stand in line.
I'm sorry that you had to stand in line.
I don't want to stand in line for my brain tumor.
Jesus.
So anyway, I thought it was interesting because, like, if you take out like the, you know, truly massively expensive stuff, and you just have private insurance cover the day-to-day,
yeah,
it actually makes it a lot easier for you as a person to afford to get things that you want.
Yeah.
With your medical coverage, you can make the choices for your day-to-day. And if, you know, you drew a bad card and it's like, yeah, you do have glioblastoma or pancreatic cancer. Well, pancreatic cancer is probably going to kill you so fast that it's not going to be not that expensive. Anyway, but let's say you get something bad and it's going to cost $15 million to keep you alive until you die.
Yeah.
Like, if your insurance company is only responsible for the first 5 of that, like, it makes it a lot easier for them to offer you an affordable thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because I had come up with that as one of the solutions myself, and then I heard a potential candidate for the president of the United States say it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's wild. Anyway, if there was anybody left who was like, I want to listen to these two drunk assholes talk about politics, they left after the actuarial comment.
Probably.
So I did like that. I mean, he did go into Syria a little bit more than I expected.
Yeah, which I actually did appreciate.
And I mean, I agree with him.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Trump, if you want to leave Syria, that's fine. But I'd like for somebody to turn around one day and be like, what happened to the Americans
Yeah.
Like, oh, they went home.
Yeah.
Not like August 3rd, we're gonna come back, have a big party.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the best party. So many people there. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be the best.
Yeah. Yeah, some sort of coherent policy at all would actually be great. But yeah, I like that. And then I like that he's he might actually be the only candidate that's like, do you guys remember that we have a deficit?
Holy shit.
So that was cool. I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. It's like, can you okay, conservative person out there. I'll say this from one libertarian to the next. Would you be willing to vote for somebody who essentially will maintain the status quo on abortion if they will give one fuck about the deficit?
Yeah.
Because I could be convinced
Yeah.
the imminent economic collapse of the United States is not high on my list of things that I would like to tell my grandchildren about.
You're going to have grandchildren?
Maybe. I'm going to have to get working on that. But my catastrophic coverage is going to keep me alive forever.
Well, hopefully. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's nice to at least hear these things out loud, to know that somebody is aware of them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what the country's appetite is toward somebody like this. I don't know how most Americans would take it. I don't know how to predict that anymore. But I would say, like, pretty much what he said in general was all pretty largely inoffensive. And maybe that's the problem.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's a problem. God, can you imagine? Like, we're almost to the point where it's like, if you were to run with a campaign slogan, restoring boring to the White House.
Yeah.
That's almost a plus.
Oh, I'd vote for it. Yeah, I'd be happy to vote for that. That would be amazing. But yeah, I thought I did laugh. I think the first question from the audience was about Joe Biden, and it was specifically like, what sort of behavior or whatever? At what point does certain behavior make you like disqualified to be the president? And I don't know about you, but I laughed when I heard that. So you're like, well, I don't think there is any anymore, right? I mean, anybody can do anything now and run. There's no such thing as fucking disqualifying. Maybe if you went to jail, maybe at that point. But
so, like, I actually thought his answer to that was, I mean, it was a complete non-answer. But
yeah.
At the same time, it was also the answer. The answer is when no one will vote for them, essentially. And
yeah, I did kind of like that part. Yeah, it's kind of up to the American people. Yeah, it is.
Now, I will say this: I don't really like Joe Biden, and I mean, other than the fact that he'll occasionally say something that's hilariously racist, but
Joey B, Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe has always been a little bit of a buffoon, and I kind of hope he doesn't become president because he is a buffoon.
That's compared to what? But
yeah. But this whole like he hugs people too tight thing. It's just like,
I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, if you don't want to vote for him, then just stay home.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Understand that when you stay home, though, that has consequences.
It does. It does. That's like being a third party candidate. Fucking giving it to Trump, son of a bitch. But
Yep, because that's definitely going to happen. I actually thought that Howard Schultz had a decent chance of pulling people away from Trump.
I mean, seriously, dude, I would think so.
Well, this was in Kansas City,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it is, I don't know, the geographic capital of flyover country.
Yeah.
If almost every one of them raised their hand at the end, and I understand that they're not a large enough sample size to constitute for real, but
I wonder how you get invited to participate in something like that.
I don't know. I have a feeling that they kind of got enough people of different backgrounds and whatnot. I mean, they're flyover country people, so they're probably going to be a little bit less dogmatically left, even if they are left.
Yeah.
Than maybe if you had it in California.
Yeah.
If you had anybody who was dogmatic there, it would probably be a Republican.
Yeah.
And I mean, pretty much everybody in the place raised their hand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem with them running.
Well, that's because they want Trump to win. But
oh yeah, everybody in the audience is playing the 3D.
Yep. They're all in on
chess. Where do you think that Howard Schultz falls on the political spectrum?
I don't know, dude. Seriously, it's so fucking meaningless to me that I mean, like you said, calling Trump a far-right Republican, it just doesn't mean shit. So I don't know. I mean, he's a Democrat who felt like the Democratic Party walked away from him. I can understand that. And now he feels like he occupies somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't dispute him on that. But the ideological differences now are so incoherent that it's just not worth. I don't know. I actually like anybody who even rejects, like, because that's always the question you get from the fucking like media. The constant need to frame a person's position along this kind of ideological spectrum, I think, is doing way more harm to the country than anything else. And so any rejection of that, I immediately sympathize with.
Trump announces a new initiative to rebuild our interstate highways. Do you know who also built interstate highways? Hitler.
Fucking Hitler.
Have you ever heard of the Autobahn?
So yeah, I don't know where the fuck he is. Cause yeah, I mean the differences they're just psychotic at this point. I mean, he called out like he's not a big fan of the wall. He didn't bash it or anything really, but not a big fan of it. Also not a big fan of getting rid of ICE. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, like
that sounds like a rational middle ground. So
those are two. Well, I mean, walls make sense in certain places, and like if you're picturing the Great Wall of America stretching from sea to shining sea, then that makes a little bit less sense.
Sure.
Where you do start to get into like the insanity is like, you see this perfectly good wall, I'm gonna tear that shit down. Like, thanks, Beta.
Sure, why not?
You're not insane.
It's just a symbol anyway. So
he's just kidding. He's not going to, because he's not going to be president.
No, probably not. Probably not.
I lost to Ted Cruz. I feel like I'm on a roll.
Hey, you keep bringing that up in Texas, man. I don't think that's a fucking bellwether.
Do you see Ted Cruz's beard, though? It's like the one thing I like about him.
Yeah, I like his beard, too. And Texas fucking loves him. It ain't no surprise that he won.
Okay, so, all right. Specific to Howard Schultz, how likely, if he ran, or under what circumstances would you see yourself voting for him?
Tactic Angel, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't think it's going to be a very hard. Well, I guess let me put it this way. I predict that, like usual, we're going to have a choice between two bowls of shit. as Lewis Black says. I know which one I'm voting for. So and at this point, it is unidentified.
So no matter which one of the 20 loons are out there, you're like, that's my loon.
Yeah.
I would never vote. I would never vote third party.
Oh, we're talking like down to 2 people who can actually win the fucking race, right? I mean, it's going to come down to a pragmatic decision between who can actually fucking win. And I'm going to vote for the person that has the best chance of winning and defeating Trump.
If Howard Schultz were in the election and he was polling at 30%.
Okay, if it was a hard decision, if you're saying it's a hard decision and he has a chance at actually fucking winning, as long as people actually fucking vote for him, then I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I guess it depends on who the fucking other asshole is.
Well, the other asshole is Trump, right?
If it's Schultz versus Trump, it's an easy fucking decision. Yeah.
No. It's well, yeah. What I'm saying is, if it's Kamala Harris and then, or no, let's go worse. Cory Booker. Cory Booker, abolish ICE, pro reparations.
Right. I don't care. That's not going to happen anyway. Like it's. That's how I see most of this shit. Is just like when Trump ran in 2016. Most of this stuff is fantastical fucking bullshit.
How soon until one of the Democrats drops out?
I don't know, dude. It's pretty early. I mean, they're just now announcing.
Like, at a certain point, you go, I've already peaked.
It'll be like it'll probably, I don't know. It'll be like the 2016 Republicans, man.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that whole thing works.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that all of the reasonable and viable candidates will drop out pretty much right away, just like in 2016. And then we'll be left with the worst of the worst.
It's possible.
And we will wonder once again, how did we get here?
I think what we'll end up wondering is, like, did the Democrats choose a person who has somehow managed to be less likable than Hillary Clinton?
That should be pretty hard to do.
It really should. I can only think of one other politician who's competitive with that.
I don't know. She had such a legacy. A legacy of fucking vitriol. But
so back to Schultz. We'll steer this back into Schultz. Do you think that he lived up to his own principles in this presentation? And to remind you of what those principles were, he wants to run an honest campaign. He wants to portray that he is a trustworthy person and that he wants to be held accountable for his actions.
Yeah, sure.
Did you think the basketball question was weird?
I did, yeah. I didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about. It's like, that's clearly a sore subject. God.
Do you think he owned up to it well enough, considering that it doesn't fucking matter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you got to hear from the dude.
I'm sorry that I sold a basketball team, so I guess I can't be president.
And done it differently. I don't know how many times you have to apologize for something like that. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Not until he found out he touched some girl's ass. I don't think it's
Rutrow.
Yeah, then it's gonna be a problem. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean it was a good enough. It was a good enough presentation. I don't really understand it. It's weird to me. Like, the whole process is kind of weird to me. These fucking town halls with people who are not even announced that they're running for president. This is a strange. You just wonder, like, how did you get this? What happened here? Like,
there's another town hall with Bernie Sanders that's this week.
Yeah. Did he actually officially announce? Or I don't remember. I'm sure he did.
He's running for president.
I mean, yeah, right? I feel like that's obvious, but there's the formal process of, guess what, you guys? I'm
I have
gonna
a very
do it.
important announcement. I'm gonna make it next Tuesday at the Fish and Fry.
Oh man, the best thing about Bernie Sanders is going to be hopefully more Larry David impersonations.
That is probably true. That would be the best thing about it.
Question. I don't understand what to do with these podiums. Are you supposed to put your elbows on there? It's too low. Stupid.
Yeah, that's an I don't know. Are there any other impressions that you had from this?
I don't know. Not really. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here. I did watch a Young Turks interpretation of what Howard Schultz said, and that was kind of entertaining.
Was it entertaining because it was like Star Trek Discovery Madness?
Yeah, I don't remember even it was just like Howard Schultz makes a fool of himself on the fucking Fox Town Hall. I don't even remember what they cited. It was so incredibly inconsequential.
I'm gonna try to do a chink. Let me see if I can make myself sound fat. So he was standing there and he was like, "This is an empty chair. This empty chair is for America. You don't say that. Empty chairs from Clint Eastwood. Of course. Of course."
I remember they were giving
what
him.
he was trying to do.
They were giving him a bunch of shit because he's like rich. So I mean, you would expect that.
Who isn't?
But I know.
Fucking Bernie Sanders is like, "Oh, I'm a socialist, but I'm loaded and you can't have my money."
Yeah.
I got most of it because my wife defrauded a university.
Well.
And I wrote a book. It was a really good book.
Yeah. A lot of people bought that book. Capitalism fucking works.
And maybe if you write a book, you can be famous too. Oh shit. I'm kind of doing like Yogi Bear. Hey, boo-boo, vote for me for president.
They were giving him shit about taxes, his taxes or some shit. And it's like, well, guys, he said in this town hall that like he thinks he should be
30
paying
days
more
or so
taxes and that like they're too low and his corporate. I don't understand. They were trying to press him a little bit about the tax rate, raising taxes on corporations. He gave kind of a vague answer.
No, he had a pretty specific answer because he said he wanted to he thought that going down to 21% was too low, which is, by the way, 4% lower than the median for the industrialized world.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is exactly giving it away. But
no.
And he was like, I want to go to 25, which I think is right about the average.
I didn't hear 25. I heard them and he said something about
he said he wanted something like 25, but he wanted them maybe if you wanted to let them go down to 21, you'd have to get them to offer some incentives.
Yeah. To
go, like a credit for helping your employees with tuition. Or whatever. You're like, fine, I guess.
I mean, that's an interesting idea, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that either. I don't know. I'm a little.
I mean, ultimately, if you're going to. I mean. Conceptually, I'd probably prefer if I were a business, if you taxed me at 21%, if I had a choice what to do with that 4% you were going to take from me anyway.
Yeah.
So like, sure. If I have certain programs and I want to, like try to make my own minions in my own image, like, I can like do that. I can push them in the right direction. Sure. And then, that would be better than like I give you 4% and you spend it on $1,600 toilet seats.
Yeah.
And the 6 guys who are standing around watching the 7th dig a hole.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I would prefer that, but I don't know, like from a tax revenue standpoint, how much that really matters.
I'm not sure the tax rate itself is even so much the issue as the fact that there are just a lot of corporations that aren't paying anything because of
the tax code. The
I mean,
tax
yeah,
code
that's
is
the-
a fucking joke.
I feel like that's the fucking issue. I think if businesses were paying 21%, if all of them were actually paying that rate, that would probably make a difference. But
it's not necessarily even all that desirable because it's just a hidden tax at the end of the day. But whatever. People greatly prefer hidden taxes.
Sure, I don't know. I don't think that stuff is like 100% offset to the consumer, but
Well, if you want a profit margin, it would be offset plus by the profit margin. If you want to make 5% and you get taxed an extra 10 cents.
But that has to be sustainable also. You can't just charge people whatever you want to fucking charge them.
No, you can't. But that's also maybe one of the reasons why people don't manufacture a lot of stuff in the United States.
That's
anymore.
part of it. Yeah, that's probably part of it.
So,
Also, it's way fucking cheaper to do.
I
go
would
to
prefer
overseas.
to run a sweatshop.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cost effective, so.
Hey, you're by American definitions not far from a slave.
Yeah, pretty much.
Make this Nike t-shirt. Do whatever you need or whatever. Believe in something, even if it means a little China kid has to work really like 25 hours a day.
Yeah.
All right, so we are pretty well off track at this point.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, it's gonna
I
be
got any
an
random
interesting
feelings?
We don't have any debate scheduled yet, do we? I mean, I
Are we
wouldn't be
gonna-
surprised if we fucking had one. Like,
I think there is one in June.
oh hell. Okay.
And I think it's one of the Democratic. I think they're going to
Oh,
have
I'm sure. Yeah.
as many of those as Hillary Clinton wants them to.
God, is she paying any attention? I haven't. I imagine they don't want her anywhere near any of this at this point. That's kind of my guess.
Why not? She's the chosen one.
Well, she lost to Trump. I think that's the problem. And anybody that associates with Hillary Clinton is going to get the Clinton vitriol, probably.
Hopefully.
Because, people on the right are a little bit crazy when it comes to her. Little crazy.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Midget Radio, one last question.
Yeah.
Do you know how old Martha McCallum is?
I don't.
Would you be surprised if I said 55?
Oh, wow. That is surprising.
Right?
I would guess 40s. I would guess around 40s.
She's doing a good job.
No, yeah, she's not bad.
So anyway, that has been episode number 80 of the Wednesday Night Gentleman Multimedia Empire official podcast. Please give us a like if you've made it this far in the video, or subscribe to our channel. You can find us on Twitter, where we are at WNG_MME_OPC, or head on over to our Facebook page, where we are simply the Wednesday Night Gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll catch you again on episode number 81 of this podcast.
Bye-bye.